Why does Adam return to dust when he sins? And why did the flood of Noah happen? Because it was not God who actively destroyed the world with floods. Welcome to day 49 of 1000 Days of Revealing Christ Challenge. I will soon do a detailed, longer video about what happened to the world in the days of Noah. But today, I want to set up the foundation. When Adam sins, God tells him, "From dust you came, and to dust you will return." I want to submit to you today that that was not God's punishment. That was just a natural endpoint of his sin. Why? Note this down. Sin is an anti-creative force. Sin is the anti-creative principle. Sin takes the world back to the chaos it was in. You see, in Genesis chapter 1, what we call creation is God bringing order from chaos. The world, before God does any creation work on it, the Bible tells us that it was formless and void, and there was darkness. Okay? But the Spirit of the Lord hovered on the face of the waters. So, the main characteristic that shows us how formless and void the world was waters everywhere. And so, God separates the waters, the deep, and creates a protected, ordered world of life. But when man falls, because sin is not just breaking a rule, sin is setting up the anti-creative principle, the world starts returning back to the chaos that it was in before God ordered it. And so, for Adam, because he was created out of dust, and sin is an anti-creative force that takes things back to the chaos that they were in, Adam returning to dust is a natural endpoint of his fall. God is not actively punishing Adam. God is informing Adam about the consequences of his action, the consequences of his choice. Now, the same way, because man has set up the anti-creative principle, the earth itself, creation itself, not only man, but creation itself will have to go back to the chaos it was in before God ordered anything. And so, sin as the anti-creative principle, it starts undoing God's order. It starts eating away the boundaries that God had set up to protect life. And so Genesis chapter 6, which is the floods of Noah, they become the natural endpoint of man's sin. The flood wasn't a direct new action that God took to kill people or to destroy the earth. The flood was a natural result of sin's anti-creative work. By choosing sin, man chose chaos over order. And you see, after Adam sins, man continues to sin from Genesis chapter 3 up to Genesis chapter 6 before the floods happen. And so what happened was that man spent centuries tearing down the walls of God's order. The flood was just the moment where man's sin reached its fullness. And when man's sin reached its fullness, the original chaos that the world was in before God ordered it returned. And so the destruction in Genesis chapter 6 isn't God enjoying killing. It is the inevitable, tragic consequence of a world that has chosen the thief or Satan as its God. Because remember, when Adam decided to obey the words of Satan over the words of God, Adam chose Satan as his God. And so, what was God's role in the flood? God does one thing that reveals his heart. He builds an ark. You see, God knows that the natural endpoint of sin is the chaos that the world was in before he ordered it. He knows that the world is returning itself to chaos. And his proactive, life-giving, loving act is to provide a way out. You see, the ark became God's territory in the middle of a world that had chosen the territory of the devil. And you see, this ark that God creates through Noah becomes God's way of preserving life, because that is always God's will. He desires for none to perish, but that all might be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. That ark in the Old Testament was a picture of Christ. It was the only place of safety. It was the only place of life when the world was consumed by the consequences of its own choice. But of course, I was just setting a foundation. I know there are many questions that will come out of this video, and I am ready to answer them. But for now, I will encourage us to keep learning, keep researching. Don't just settle for what you have known in the past to be truth. Allow your mind to be stretched. Allow what you know to be challenged. Because I can tell you one thing. You see what you know right now, it is what I knew some time back. That which you believe, that God is the one who destroyed the world during the flood of Noah, I believed that for years also, until I allowed someone to challenge what I knew. And since then, my view of things has never been the same. So keep tuning in. I will expound on this. It was important for me to do this video today because I was setting up a foundation of something that I want to come and teach from tomorrow and the days that are coming afterwards. So I hope you have been challenged. I hope you have been blessed. I hope you have learned something. See you tomorrow for day 50.